biggest games, the best performances, expert analysis. You are Locked On Now.
Welcome in. You're listening to Locked On Now MLB, local experts weighing in on the biggest stories in baseball. I'm your host, Kainani Stevens. Thank you for making Locked On Now your first listen every single weekday. We've got our Locked On MLB hosts. They're ready to recap all of the action for you from yesterday. We're going to begin with the Twins, who thought they had their game won against the Guardians in yesterday's biggest game.
The biggest game.
It didn't look good for the Guardians going into the bottom of the 10th inning against the Twins. Cleveland allowed 3 runs in the top half to put Minnesota's win probability at 95%, but the Guardians stormed back. Josh Naylor hit a walk-off 2-run home run to finish the Twins off. Locked On Guardians recaps that dramatic finish.
The Cleveland Guardians with a wild walk-off winner. What can you say about this game? I mean, I was as pessimistic as it comes. You definitely want to check out tomorrow's Locked On Guardians to sit there and see me as I'm recording, as I have taken to doing, talk about how this game's a loss. This is the third time this year, including the Josh Naylor Grand Slam game, that we have recorded the comeback over at Locked On Guardians. Make sure to check out tomorrow's show. What more do you need to say? I mean, that home run by Naylor is unbelievable. The Twins should never pitch Pagan against the Guardians ever again. I don't know what they were thinking in that situation. I watched it happen, and I was like, why would you go to him here? The Guardians own him right now. It is just an unfortunate situation if you're a Twins fan. But as a Guardians fan, it's a party tonight. I mean, it's been a rough week. This was needed. Huge hit by Josh Naylor. Huge win. Guardians win. And again, make sure to check out tomorrow's Locked On Guardians for a very special episode if you are a big Guardians fan.
The Giants were hoping that this homestand would start with plenty of wins as 2 of the worst teams in baseball came to town, but instead San Francisco won just 2 of 5 against the Reds and Tigers, with the White Sox visiting next. Locked On Giants says the team needs to find some consistency quick.
Frustrating loss to the Detroit Tigers today. What else is new for the San Francisco Giants? Ben Kaspick with the Locked On Giants podcast. They just lost 2 out of 3 to the Cincinnati Reds, and now they split against the Tigers. These are 2 of the worst teams in baseball, and the Giants are 2-3 on this homestand against those 2 teams. The Giants now, after starting out the year 13-5, over about a 60-game sample since then, are slightly below 500 with a negative run differential. So we're talking about close to 60 games of being a below 500 team. Granted, around 500, but still below 500 and being outscored by their opponents. So at a certain point, it's who they are because, it's been 2 months of being consistently inconsistent, and it continued today against the Tigers. So we'll break this one down and just talk about the team at large, and if there's anything they can do, health being perhaps a key. Wade Jr. coming back today, some other guys still out, but man, this team has been pretty frustrating in 2022 after a 107-win season last year. So we'll talk about it tomorrow on Locked On Giants, where it's your team every day.
The Angels only got 5 hits and were out-hit by the White Sox on Wednesday, but Shohei Ohtani only let the Sox turn those hits into 1 run and led LA to a win. Our Locked On Angels and White Sox hosts go over everything from another impressive day from the reigning MVP.
Well, they say if you want to get something done right, you got to do it yourself, and that's exactly what Shohei Ohtani did on Wednesday night. What's going on, everybody? It's John from Locked On Angels. Shohei Ohtani was masterful on the mound. He had a couple of high pitch counts innings where he threw over 20 pitches, but he got through 5 2/3, struck out 11, lowered his ERA to 2.68 on the season. He is 7-4, has 111 strikeouts. Get this, he's the 3rd pitcher in Angels history to strike out 30 batters and allow 0 runs over a 3-start span. So Shohei was masterful. Of course, the Angels take this one 4-1. Surprisingly, the bullpen came through and they held it down, so we weren't afraid of letting Shohei take the rest of the game off on the mound. He certainly stayed in to hit, of course, but the bullpen locked it down. Of course, Raisel Iglesias got the save. The Angels take this one 4-1 from the White Sox. They take 2 out of 3 in this series, and they're headed to Houston next. It's going to be a tough road trip, but it will be a prove-it series for the Angels. Mike and I are going to talk all about it on Locked On Angels, wherever you get your podcasts, or on YouTube.
The Chicago White Sox lost to the Los Angeles Angels Wednesday night, 4-1. On Tuesday night, the Chicago White Sox scored 11 runs. On Wednesday night, just 1 run against Shohei Ohtani, who was very good. Sox did have a pretty nice night offensively from Jose Abreu, who was 4 for 4. Sox out hit the Angels 7-5. But just could not come up with the win. Had a lot of opportunities, left a lot of guys on base. Sox have an off day on Thursday, and then they head to San Francisco. Sox still struggling to get back to 500 before they eventually come home for a big series against the Minnesota Twins on Monday. Sox have a lot of games against the AL Central coming up in July.
The Mariners quietly have one of the better hot streaks in baseball right now, wrapping up another series win against the Orioles on Wednesday. Locked On Mariners tells us what has gotten into this Seattle lineup after another big day at the plate.
Make that 3 consecutive series victories for the Seattle Mariners. This is Ty Gonzalez, host of the Locked On Mariners podcast. The M's explode for 9 runs in their rubber match against the Orioles on Wednesday. They get 3 in the second, 6 in the fourth inning, including an absolute bomb into the second deck in left field by Julio Rodriguez. Abraham Toro, Adam Frazier, and Sam Haggerty, the Mariners' 7, 8, and 9 hitters go a combined 6 for 11, with Haggerty going 3 for 3 with 2 doubles. Toro also had a pair of doubles himself. That's one of the biggest reasons the Mariners won this game. They also got a 3-hit day out of Jesse Winker, who continues to hit and hit. For more on this game, check us out on the Locked On Mariners postgame show. It's on YouTube or wherever you get your podcasts. See you then.
Coming up, the Astros have the Mets number, and the Yankees' biggest sluggers help get New York a win. This is Locked On Now MLB. Today's edition of Locked On Now is brought to you by Bet Online, the number one spot for all of your online sports gambling needs. You can bet on baseball, of course, as well as MMA, boxing, golf, tons of other sports and action as well. Just head over to betonline.net. Welcome back to Locked On Now MLB. I'm Kainani Stevens. Thank you for making Locked On Now your first listen every single weekday. Let's continue with our look around the league.
Let's go around the league.
Yesterday, our Locked On Phillies host told us that Philadelphia needed answers to the offensive struggles without Bryce Harper, and those worries didn't go away Wednesday after just 1 run in another loss to the Braves.
Coming to you live again from an empty, quiet Citizens Bank Park. Connor Thomas, your host of Locked On Phillies, and this is pretty much what this place sounded like tonight. With the Phillies falling again to the Braves, the offense is anemic, and this team's got to figure out how to make up for what Bryce Harper cannot bring them while he's recovering from his fractured left thumb, and they better figure it out quick. Mickey Moniak is overmatched by Major League pitching. He can't get at bats anymore. Nick Castellanos is lost at the dish right now. He's got to figure it out because he has to get at bats. He's getting paid too much money not to. JT Realmuto has to do more. Had a nice RBI last night's game, but just nothing. And Kyle Wright, I mean, respect him for the Braves, but he had been in terrible shape coming into this, having a couple of rough starts in a row, just shoves against this team like they have no idea what they're doing. The problem with this team isn't pitching, and it's no longer the bullpen. This offense is going to have to play like they can actually make up for what Bryce Harper cannot bring them anymore, or they're going to find themselves in a really tough spot trying to make even the wild card. We'll see. Hey, chance to salvage 1 out of the series tomorrow. Nola goes. Let's get one.
The Astros play the Mets 4 times this regular season, and Houston has now won all 4 meetings. It was Justin Verlander's turn to beat New York on Wednesday, and he did it with just 2 hits allowed in 8 innings pitched. Our Locked On Astros host is thrilled to have dominated one of the NL's best teams.
Hey, H-Town Wheelhouse here with Locked On Astros, and the Houston Astros complete a 4-game sweep over 2 different dates with the New York Mets. Justin Verlander and Tejon Walker are in an absolute pitcher's duel, locked up, and Jason Castro, the most unlikely of all heroes, with only his 8th or 9th hit on the season, hits an absolute tank to right field, a 2-run home run. Presley comes in, 3 up, 3 down. The Astros win. They leave the Mets series. Again, this completes a 4-game sweep over the season against the NL's highest scoring team, holding them to only 5 runs in those 4 games. It was an amazing performance. Now, Yordan Alvarez and Jeremy Pena collided. We'll talk about that on the next Locked on Astros, see how long they will be out of action. Will they return when the Yankees come to Minute Maid Park on Thursday, or will they give them the rest day? Stay tuned in to Locked on Astros. Remember, we are your team every day. Subscribe to our YouTube channel. Check us out on Apple, Spotify, Google, even the Odyssey app. Remember, we're your team every day. Go Stros.
The Dodgers finally got a monkey off of their back by beating the Rockies for the first time in 5 games. 3 home runs helped LA take out some anger after the struggles against the Rockies this season. And Locked on Dodgers and Rockies go over everything from the Mile High City.
Well, I asked for the Dodgers to make a statement in the last game against the Rockies, and an 8-4 win will qualify. What's up? It's Jeff Snyder from Locked on Dodgers, coming to you live from the parking lot of my son's baseball game. Just watched the game on my phone, and you know what? An 8-4 win, I will take it. After the Dodgers offense looked pretty lackluster the first 2 games of the series, they hit 3 home runs, strung together some hits for some runs, and overall a good quality team win. Got a good start from Julio Urias, maybe not quite as deep in the game as he would have liked to go, but then good relief pitching. All in all, a really good win to end a road trip. 6-3 on the trip, and it probably tells us something about where the Dodgers are at, that 6-3 on a road trip feels like a disappointment, because 6-3 is a very successful road trip, and we will take it. Now they head home to take on the Padres. Be sure to check out Locked on Dodgers first thing in the morning. It'll probably just be Vince with you, because as I mentioned, I'm at a baseball game with my son, but Vince will be there to talk all about this game, everything that we saw, and look forward to this Padres series. So thanks for making Locked on Dodgers your first listen every day.
Rock on Rockies fans, Paul Holden here from the Locked on Rockies podcast. Well, unfortunately, Germán Márquez went back to 2022. Germán Márquez and the Dodgers decimate the Rockies in the finale. But, you know, the Rockies do come back. They cut the lead in half, but they just really weren't able to stay in this one as the Dodgers got out to a big lead early. The Rockies chip away in the second half of the game, but you're not going to be able to do much when the Dodgers are getting 7 runs actually there in the first 5 innings. Unfortunately, Germán Márquez not sharp yet again, but hey, you'll take a series win over the Dodgers. You had 2 good games there, and you just get ready for another set here. You got Arizona coming into town. 2 out of 3 ain't bad against the Dodgers, but unfortunately, if you want to take away the big takeaway, Márquez struggling again in this offense, not able to keep up with this great Dodgers team, but hey, 2 out of 3 ain't bad. We'll be breaking it all down right here on Locked on Rockies.
Aaron Judge and Giancarlo Stanton both went yard in the Yankees' win over the Athletics. Locked on Yankees reviews yet another victory for the Bronx Bombers.
This is Stacey Gotsoulias of Locked on Yankees, and the Yankees beat the A's 5-3 at the stadium, and it was another comeback for the Yankees because Jameson Taillon had a bit of a rough first inning, gave up 3 runs. They were the only runs that he would give up, but it made his outing shorter than it probably should have been, but no harm, no foul, because thanks to Aaron Judge and Giancarlo Stanton, it didn't matter that he gave up 3 runs because the Yankees scored 5. Taillon picks up his 9th win of the season in only 5 innings of work, and hey, sounds like a good deal to me. As I said, Judge and Stanton hit home runs. Judge his 29th, Stanton his 19th, and by the way, the last 6 hits that Stanton has, home runs. When Judge and Stanton hit home runs in the same game, the Yankees are 25-1. Yeah, it's something this season. They're now 36 games over 500 with a record of 56-20. Next stop, Houston. We'll have everything you need to know about the one-off game in Minute Maid Park on the next Locked on Yankees, so tune in.
That's all for today on Locked On Now MLB. Thank you for making Locked On Now your first listen every single weekday. Make sure you go check out Locked On MLB and your team's Locked On podcast. I'm Kanani Stevens. This has been Locked On Now.